Is it recording now?
Yeah.
How would you start? You just say. You just have to ask a question.
When I think about home, I think of when I was a kid and when I was in the garden. I think that I associate the garden with home, as well as the walks that we went on, because we went on walks as a family, and it was something that we all did together. So I think that maybe that draws me into liking it more, because I associate the memories of people and family, and maybe that's makes them more important, makes them stand out.
I think home is where the heart is. It's an expression that is often used, but it rings true. So home for you is where you remember being brought up and your happy times, whether it be in the winter or the summer. The garden was a place to go out and do things. Obviously, you've got your bedroom and all the other things inside, but when you go outside, you're in the elements, you're closer to nature, and maybe your psyche recognises that. So it's very much to remember those things. When I was growing up, we lived in a house and there was a big field at the back, and we just spent hours and hours and hours in the field making dens, climbing trees. But the house, that was the home, but the place, the area, the time you spent, your happy times, it's all connected with home.
Do you think, are there like people that you particularly did those things with that make it more of an important place? And like when you're with those people, do you think about those places?
If you spend time with people, you bond with them. As you know, I had a twin brother, and he and I, until we got to our early teens, he and I played all the time together. And then you get to a certain point in your life where you move on. But when I'm with Phil, I do feel I'm at home wherever he is. There's a homeliness about him because there's such an intimacy.
So you think it's a feeling? So you think like home is not only a place but also a feeling?
It is a feeling that you can take with you.
So do you think you have it in multiple places?
Yeah, I say home is where the heart is, as I said earlier. It's where you take your heart and spend time with people you love. And you can associate those good times with places. You can associate those good times with smell. Smell's a very important trigger. I can still, when I smell certain flooring, I can remember my very early childhood. I can't remember much about it, but I can remember the smell of that vinyl flooring. And occasionally I smell it and it takes me back. But because it's such a long way back, I can't remember much detail, but the smell remains.
I like the smell of earth, when, because you used to come in after going to work and you used to have like dirt all over your overalls and stuff, and you used to come in and you'd always give me a hug and say hello, how was your day? And you always smelled of like grass and earth and mud and the outside.
Leaves and bits and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they're lovely smells. I think they're smells that people recognise as being triggers for many things. Freshly cut grass is an established smell that's supposed to make you feel good. Going into the woods, forest bathing, as I think they call it, just being in an environment that's often cool, maybe a little bit damp, and your senses pick up on that.
Yeah, like the smell from coming in from being outside in the rain and being all wet and damp and dirty, but it just makes you think of being a kid and running around in the mud. I think it was good that I actually got brought up that way.
We did make sure you were in the mud a lot. I'm happy outside, and I wanted you to be happy outside. And I just think being outdoors is a better thing to do, better than sitting on a screen. But life changes.
Do you not think though that it's almost sad, or is it exciting? I haven't really decided in my own head. But if you spend all your time outside and you make memories and you associate home and memories with and love and all of that jazz with a place, that place, if it's natural, it will eventually like degrade and it will go. So if you have a memory with a tree, it will cut down in a couple of years. If
Not
you have a memory
necessarily.
with a nice park, it'll probably be filled over and have flats built on it.
It's a negative. That's a very negative
Or in a natural
approach.
way, or in a natural way, where it's like
I like to think some of the parks, and now humanity, or certainly the people in charge, have realised the importance, especially since the pandemic, the importance of green spaces and open spaces and access to the outside is crucial for your well-being. And even if you can find that space in a garden, it's still somewhere where you can hear the birds, if you're lucky enough to hear the birds, and you don't have to have perpetual traffic. But even in cities, there are thankfully green spaces. They're designed that way, and they have been designed that way.
there should be more though. I feel like
There should be
be green spaces that aren't like a designed square space with big round, perfectly pruned hedges are.
There's a place
I
for
want
formality.
outside where it's
there's
actually outside. It's not been made.
I think there's always a place for formality, sometimes, and squares, but it still brings in bird life and wildlife. But I agree, the wild places are the best things. The wild places are where you find wildlife. But it's been proven that you can't just leave everything. You get more wildlife in a multitude of habitats than you would do in just a single. If you just leave it to go, and brambles and trees and ivy all just grow up, it then becomes one ecosystem, as it were, where it wants to be multiple ecosystems all working together.
Do you think that when you're outside and you see these things, or you see a type of plant, do you think, oh, I've seen that plant before when I was younger?
Some plants do, yeah. Fuchsias remind me of being a child. The ballerina flowers, and you'll remember the fuchsias. We had pink ballerina flowers, we used to call them, because they looked like ballerinas.
Are those the white ones?
The
pink
one,
ones
yeah.
with the maroon centre and
Yep.
the light pink, reddy.
If you squeeze them, you can pop them open early, or wait for them to open naturally.
Oh yeah, I used to pull them apart all the time.
I used to as a kid as well. So it's the things that you can touch and feel and have memories of. But it is not just place; it's combined. So
It's just
that
crazy,
memory
though.
is because you were there and the plant was there. It's not just the plant that makes the memory. It's the actions that you and the interactions between you and the place.
I'm not going to remember that memory unless I get the stimulation from that plant. But I'm never going to see that plant.
You need to see it and think about it, and your mind needs to be in a state to wander back. When I visit my old home in the home place where I was born and grew up, I see things. Many things have changed, but there are things that haven't. And I was there recently and was in a small part of the town I lived in that I remember cycling through there regularly, and that had a memory. But landscapes are good. I like to go to the sea, where I was brought up near the sea, so to stand on a big open beach that's not what you'd say beautiful, it's just pebbles and quite flat, but it still is a place I had good times and wistful times. And the opposite is going up onto the hills that overlook the sea. So between the hills and the sea is the town, and to look right across from the hills, people like a view, and it usually makes you feel good, so it can trigger memories. And I look around and try and remember, where was that church, or where was that big building, and what was that? Maybe I'm just being nostalgic, but it's all about feeling.
It's definitely feeling for me. When I smell, there's that bag that I got in Mallorca, and when I smell it, it's like made of camel skin or something.
Yes,
and when I smell that, all I think of is the holidays that we went on in Mallorca. But then again, that's not my home, but it's just a memory that I associate with a place.
Yeah, but we were there, all the people that
But yes,
your
that's
mum
why I
was
think
there,
it's a
your dad
feeling.
was there.
It's not a place, because it's a homely feeling that makes you feel warm inside. And
well, you were
it's
happy.
like
I think you
it's like a rush.
It's happiness. If you're happy and you have a smell, and you'll associate that smell with happiness.
Nostalgia is definitely, it gives me a rush. When I see something or feel something that's...
A psychologist would
Smell
explain
something.
it, I'm sure, but...
I went into Toby's shed the other day and he'd been smoking a cigarette, and I walked in and it smelled exactly like Grandad Cliff's car. And I was like, wow, you smell like my granddad. And he laughed.
Yeah, you do get a few whiffs that...
But it was like exactly the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a cigarette smell, it was like exactly like this, because he'd been in the shed at the end of the garden the
Slightly
whole
stale.
day. No windows open.
But the smell of gun oil reminds me of my dad, because he used to clean his guns, and then my brother got into shooting, and he had gun oil as well, so
That sounds safe.
that's something that it triggers for memories. But a home doesn't carry a smell so much. There's too many factors. I mean, home could be smelling the Christmas tree. If you remember coming downstairs on a Christmas day.
I like that we had a real Christmas tree. That was
We did.
fun.
We did.
I mean, not anymore, sadly, but Mum likes the minimal side now. But
Well, I think it's actually a lot easier.
it is a lot easier,
It's a
yeah.
lot easier. And our tree has lasted for many years.
I like
the
that
one
smell
I've got.
coming down, and it was Christmas, and it's actually smelled like a Christmas tree rather than a piece of plastic.
Yeah. But you can put Mum drips essential oils on the logs nowadays, and that actually does add to it. And the old scented candle.
Yeah,
They
gotta
do
love the
produce
Yankee.
these winter candle scents now, which and why do people like all these scented candles? Because they give them smells that make them feel good, and make them feel happy. And home should make you feel happy. If you're very unlucky, home may have bad memories, but I think you've got to be very unlucky if that's the case.
I feel like there's always a way to make a home out of something. I mean,
You can make a place homely.
yeah.
Homely. I guess the hygge of the Danes, thinking about making things cosy and warm, and that's all about security, I guess. I guess another thing, home makes you feel secure, because I guess if you were lucky, you felt secure when you were young and in your home. If you were lucky enough to have a home, and you were, and so you associate that with it as well.
Yeah. Home is just, a feeling. It's a psychological thing.
It's a small word for a very big thing. Whether your home is a country, or a town, or a house, or a room.
Memory,
A memory. Home can be a
a
memory.
thing.
But home does change as you go, as you move on. And if you do move to a new town or start your own family, I guess your home is where they are. It's where your heart lies.